Okay, here's chapter 13 of Toby's story. That night, I slept at the foot of Granddad's bed. The next morning, Mona came to feed me and let me outside. After that, she and Patsy and Granddad and Dorothy did a lot of talking. Then Mona and Patsy went into Patsy's office and talked some more. I'd forgiven Mona for her mistake, shutting me up in that cage, so I went with them. But I got bored. When Fran came to the office door, I ran to greet her. She had never played with me yet, but there's always a first time. I wagged my tail and panted up at her face, trying to let her know that we'd had a lot of fun last night and could have some more now if she'd join in. But she ignored me. "Do you know what happened last night?" she demanded. "People got out of their rooms to play with the dog. The night staff went crazy trying to get everyone back to sleep." "Yes, I've heard," Patsy said. "Toby's not used to the crate. He didn't understand," Mona said. She sounded worried. Fran let out her breath in an exasperated sigh. "All right, the crate is not a success. Then the dog has to go outside at night. It's summer, he'll be fine. Dogs sleep outside all the time." "I don't know," Mona said with a little worry in her voice. "He's used to wandering around inside at night." "That," said Fran sharply, "is one of the problems we are trying to fix." I'd had enough of listening to people make words at each other, so I went off to look for someone to throw the ball for me. That afternoon, after dinner, Mona took me outside. To my surprise, there was a new bed lying in the grass. My water bowl was next to it. I sniffed both. How strange. "Your bed's going to be out here now, Toby," Mona said, rubbing behind my ears. "At least for a while. You just have to learn to be calm. No more howling at night, all right?" I licked her hands and looked up at her. Was it time to go inside now? Then she pulled a ball from her pocket. Perfect! My whole body leaped to attention. She threw the ball, and I bounded after it. When I brought it back, Mona had gone. Gone? How could she have forgotten how to play this game? I was supposed to get the ball while she stood and waited until I brought it back to her. That's what she had always done before. What on earth had happened this time? With the ball still in my mouth, I ran over to the door and waited in front of it. I had noticed that whenever I sat near a door, it opened. Usually one of my friends would be standing beside it to say, "Hi, Toby, come on in," or, "Okay, Toby, out you go." But this time the door did not work. For some reason, it did not open. I was stuck on one side with my ball, and Mona was on the other. I dropped the ball and barked so people would come and fix the door. But no one came. I whined. I scratched at the door. I put my front paws on it and barked some more. Still no one came. How could this be happening? All the old, lonely feelings from last night came back in a rush, even stronger this time. I didn't even have the energy to howl, to let the world know that a lost, lonely, miserable dog was outside by himself. I crept back to my new bed. It smelled very strange and new, not at all like a bed should smell of dust and dirt and dog. I curled up on the cushion with my nose on my tail. I wished my mother were here to wrap her body around mine and comfort me with her touch. But no one was here. I was all alone. It now felt like I didn't belong to anyone at all. After a while, I fell asleep. There was nothing else to do. In the morning, Light woke me, along with a squirrel sitting on a branch overhead and scolding me for being there. I got up and shook and stretched. At least one good thing had come of my being left out here, all by myself. I didn't have to wait for anyone to let me out so I could pee. Then something terrific happened. The door opened. It worked again. And Mona was standing there, smiling at me. I dashed inside and threw myself at her, trying to cuddle with her and lick her and run with her all at once, trying to tell her that something awful had happened, that I'd been left alone all night long, but that it was all right now because she'd come back at last. But she should never do that to me again. "Okay, Toby, okay, sweetie," she said over and over, stroking her hands all over me from my head to my tail. "Come on now, time for breakfast." I knew that word, breakfast. I began to feel better. After breakfast, I did quick visits with all my friends. Eddie had not forgotten about the bacon. Dorothy threw the ball for me. Granddad was sitting in a chair in his room, writing on a piece of paper with a pen. When I ran in, he looked up and laughed. He had a treat for me, which I was happy to accept. "Quieter night this time, huh, Toby?" he asked, scratching my neck. I wagged for my name. "How did Toby do outside all night?" another voice asked, and Tyler was standing in the doorway. Another friend! I ran over to him to get more attention, and he and Granddad talked while I sniffed Tyler's shoes and pulled at his shoelaces until they were long and loose. I'm sorry I can't be there for your first meet, Granddad said to Tyler. I wanted to cheer you on, but... I know, Tyler said quietly as he retied his shoelaces. I'll tell you all about it. Or, Mom will video every minute. Hey, Toby, let's go find Mona. I have to ask her something. I heard Mona's name and charged down the hallway to find her. Once we found her in the TV room, Mona and Tyler stood and talked and talked and talked. I hunted around until I discovered one of my new toys under a chair. I brought it over to them happily. Now they've had something more interesting to do. But they didn't understand. Humans often don't. Mona and Tyler just stood and talked and smiled at each other. I had to lie down and chew on the toy all by myself. You're not going to run with the team anymore? Mona asked. Well, it's not really a team, just sort of a summer club. They do have meets, though, and they said I could tag along, but the thing is, they've all been running since 6th grade, and they're a little older than me, too. A couple of them are going into high school in the fall. I can't really keep up, and it's kind of... Yeah, I know. That doesn't sound too fun. Mona laughed, for not much reason that I could see. So I want to run by myself for a little while until I'm better. Toby's good company, though. I like running with him. You think it's okay if he goes running with just me? I guess it's a little different from running with the whole club. Sure, I guess. Well, maybe we should ask Fran. Fran? The one who's in charge? She's kind of scary. Mona laughed again. I know, but she'll say yes, I'm sure, because she loves getting Toby out of here. I perked up my ears for my name, but clearly neither of them was about to pet me or play with me or give me a treat. She's crazy. My granddad loves Toby. Everybody does. I know, but we'll ask her about the running thing anyway. Mom says she likes to be asked. I know. We'll get Mom to come with us. Fran will listen to Mom. Tyler and Mona and Patsy went to talk to Fran. So much talking. Even training was better than this. Then Tyler left. See you tomorrow morning then, Toby, he said. A nice boy, Fran said to Patsy. It was very responsible of him to come and check about running with Toby by himself. I was bored with my chew toy by now, so I decided to lick Mona's ankles instead. I can certainly see that Mona thinks he's a nice boy, Fran said, and Mona picked me up and hugged me and put her face in my fur as if she didn't want anybody to see it. It was very odd, but that night, Mona made the same mistake again. She put me in the backyard, threw a ball for me to chase, and forgot to wait for me to give it back to her. How could I get her to understand? I barked and whined and scratched at the door, and even let my sadness out with more of those long "aroo" howls. But Mona must not have been able to hear me because she did not come back to get me until the sky had gotten light in the morning. Tyler came too that morning and took me outside so that we could run. But to my surprise, there were no other boys waiting for us outside the front door, just Tyler. I looked up at him, wondering where the boys had gone. Did we need to chase them? But it seemed that we didn't, because Tyler just tightened up his shoelaces and started jogging down the road. I ran after him with a bark of delight, my lonely night in the yard forgotten. If Tyler and I ran together, just him and me, did that mean I belonged to Tyler? It was a nice thought, but what about Mona? Even though she kept forgetting to bring me in from the yard, I still loved her, and I loved Eddie too, and his bacon, of course. It was very confusing, but I spotted a rabbit to chase, so I decided that was more important. We ran a long time that morning, and when we got back, I was panting as hard as I could, with my tongue hanging out. Tyler found Mona to give her my leash, and I could tell she was glad to see me. Good, I'm glad you're back with Toby, she said to him. We need him. She let me drink out of my water bowl, which I was happy to do, and then she took me to the part of my home that I thought of as the quiet place. We had not been there since the last time Mona and I had played chase with Eddie. I looked up at Mona in surprise. Were we going to play chase some more? I was pretty tired from the run. I didn't actually feel like chase right now.